What if I told you that war isn't just a tragedy, or a political decision, or a fight for freedom? What if war is also a business? A business so profitable that every major conflict in American history created new billionaires, expanded powerful companies, and reshaped the economy itself. From World War I to Iraq and beyond, a hidden system has quietly grown behind the battlefield. A system built, not on ideals, but on money. And once you see how it works, you will never look at war the same way again. In this documentary, we will uncover the rise of the conflict economy, the powerful network of corporations, industries, and influence groups that have turned war into one of America's most profitable businesses. We'll explore how conflicts create profits, how companies quietly gain power during wartime, and how this system became so large that it now influences politics, spending, technology, and even foreign policy. This is not about politics. This is about money, and the hidden pattern connecting every major American war. By the end of this video, you will understand how the war economy works, who benefits from it, and why it's stronger today than ever before. Backstory: how war slowly became a business in America. War was not always a business. In the early years of the United States, conflicts were deadly, chaotic, and costly, but not profitable. The government had no permanent weapons industry, no standing military complex, no giant corporations waiting for contracts. But then, everything changed. World War I, the birth of the war industry. When World War I began, America needed weapons, fast. Rifles, uniforms, ships, ammunition, millions of pieces. Factories that once made farm tools began producing artillery shells. Car companies began building military trucks. Steel factories grew overnight. Businesses were suddenly earning more money from war contracts than they ever had in peacetime. For the first time, industry realized something powerful. War was profitable. One U.S. senator later said, "War is a racket. The profits are measured in billions." And he was right. The Great Depression war. Money saves the economy. The 1930s were brutal. Factories shut down. Jobs disappeared. Banks failed. People lost homes, savings, and hope. But then came World War II. And once again, war spending exploded, pulling America out of depression and into a new age of economic strength. Corporations that nearly died during the Depression became global giants during the war. Companies like Boeing, Lockheed, General Motors, DuPont, IBM grew massively through military contracts. The lesson was clear. War didn't just create destruction. It created economic opportunity. World War II. The permanent war economy is born by the end of World War II. America had the world's strongest military industry. Factories that once made tanks were now making cars. Factories that built aircraft were now producing commercial jets. Research created for war became the foundation of modern technology. But something bigger happened. The U.S. government realized that a strong military industry had economic benefits. And corporations realized that government contracts were the most stable income in the world. So instead of dismantling the war industry after 1945, America kept it. This marked the beginning of the permanent conflict economy, a system where military power and corporate profit became deeply connected. The Cold War spending becomes normal for nearly 50 years. The US and USSR competed to dominate the world. This meant endless weapons production, new technology, races, massive military budgets, global influence, intelligence networks, proxy wars. During this time, war spending was not just common, it was essential. Huge corporations grew rich. Raytheon, Northrop, Lockheed, General Dynamics, and the idea of peacetime budgets almost disappeared. America's economy was now permanently tied to war spending. 9/11s. A new era of endless conflict. The attacks of 2001 triggered the longest continuous military operations in U.S. history. Iraq and Afghanistan, the war on terror. Trillions of dollars flowed into defense companies, private contractors, intelligence agencies, surveillance technology, cybersecurity firms. A new generation of billionaires emerged. and global companies realized something enormous. Modern war is no longer just bombs and soldiers. It is data, technology, software, drones, and infrastructure. The conflict economy had evolved. The pattern is clear. World War I gives industry, discovers profit. World War II gives war, rescues. The economy. Cold War gives war, spending becomes permanent. War on terror. Modern war becomes a business ecosystem. Over 100 years, America built a system where war is not just a strategy. It's an industry with powerful players, predictable profits, and enormous influence on national decisions. The 5-stage war profit pattern, how conflict creates money. War may look chaotic, but behind the scenes, it follows a predictable money cycle, a pattern so powerful that it has repeated across every major American conflict for more than 100 years. Let's break it down into 5 simple stages. Stage 1. Fear creates demand. Every war begins with fear. Fear of attack, fear of losing power, fear of the unknown. When fear rises, politicians approve bigger budgets. Media amplifies threats. The public demands protection, and companies position themselves as essential. Fear opens the door, and money rushes in. Examples: World War I propaganda created instant demand for weapons. Cold War fear of the USSR triggered massive nuclear investment. Post 9/11's fear led to $2 trillion in war spending. Fear is not the business. Fear is the fuel. Stage 2. Government spending explodes once fear is high. The government unlocks massive funds, budgets grow overnight. Contracts multiply. Companies receive billions. In World War II, America spent more money in 4 years than in the previous 150 years combined. During the Cold War, the U.S. spent over $10 trillion on weapons and technology. After 9/11, the U.S. created Homeland Security, massive surveillance programs, intelligence expansions, all funded by taxpayer money. War becomes one of the most powerful economic engines. Stage 3. Corporations scale up. The profit surge. Now the money reaches the companies. Defense contractors expand rapidly. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, private military companies grow. Blackwater later, KBR. Halliburton tech firms grow to Amazon AWS for intelligence, Google, military AI, Microsoft, cloud contracts. War is no longer just guns and tanks. It becomes data, satellites, cybersecurity, drones, logistics, software. The profit potential becomes limitless. Stage 4. Influence networks strengthen with billions flowing. Companies gain power. They hire lobbyists. They influence lawmakers. They shape military strategy. They advise presidents. They fund think tanks. They support political campaigns. The system becomes self-sustaining. The more influence companies gain, the more likely future conflicts become. It's not a conspiracy. It's economics. Power grows where money flows. Examples: the military-industrial complex warned by President Eisenhower, companies lobbying for expanded defense budgets, foreign policy shaped by industry recommendations. War is no longer just a national decision. It's a business decision. Stage 5. The cycle resets. A new conflict begins. Once a war ends, the system does not shrink back to normal. It waits. Factories remain ready. Lobbyists stay active. Budgets stay high. New weapons are designed. New threats are identified. And eventually, a new conflict emerges. And the cycle repeats. Fear. Spending. Profit. Influence. New conflict. This is why war, for some companies, is not an event. It is a business model. This is the pattern behind the conflict economy across 100 years. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Cold War, Gulf War, Iraq, and Afghanistan, modern cyber conflicts. The same pattern appears again and again. War destroys lives, but it builds industries. And those industries have become too powerful and too profitable to ignore. Modern connection, how the conflict economy works today. War is no longer about trenches and tanks. It has evolved into something far bigger. far more complex, and far more profitable. The conflict economy of today operates on a global scale, across politics, technology, intelligence, and industry. Let's connect the historical pattern to what is happening right now. America's defense budget is the largest in the world. The United States spends more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. These include weapons, satellites, aircraft, drones, cybersecurity intelligence networks, overseas bases. This is not a temporary number. It grows almost every year. War spending is now a permanent part of the American economy. Just like the Cold War era, but bigger. Modern wars are technology wars. Today's conflict economy is built on innovation, not artillery. Companies profit from AI weapons, drone fleets, missile defense systems, cybersecurity tools, surveillance networks, satellites, cloud systems, predictive warfare algorithms. This means tech companies are now part of the war machine. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Pal are as important to modern warfare as Lockheed and Boeing. War is no longer just hardware. It's software. Private military contractors are the new soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. There were more private contractors than actual U.S. soldiers. Companies like KB Academy, formerly Blackwater DynCorp, handled security, logistics, intelligence, training, even combat support. War has become a mixed battlefield of government forces and private companies earn billions from it. Global conflicts equals global profits. Whenever tension rises anywhere in the world, stock prices of defense companies go up. Examples: Middle East conflicts, Russia-Ukraine war, South China, sea tensions, cyber attacks, terrorism, threats. War anywhere means profit everywhere. For the conflict economy, it no longer matters where the battlefield is. Political influence is stronger than ever. Defense companies fund political campaigns, think tanks, research centers, policy advisors, media analysts. Their voices shape defense budgets, foreign policy, military strategy, technology, investment. This influence ensures the conflict economy remains central to U.S. decision-making, not because of ideology, but because of money plus power. The world is entering a new arms race, just like the Cold War. Nations are again competing: U.S. versus China, NATO versus Russia, India versus Pakistan, Middle East rivalries, cyber warfare, arms race. This competition increases demand for weapons intelligence, AI systems, missile shields, quantum security drones. And every increase in demand feeds the conflict economy. History is repeating the pattern. War is no longer an event. It's a business ecosystem. Today's conflict economy runs 24/7. Companies designing weapons, tech giants securing data, contractors supplying armies, intelligence firms monitoring threats, analysts predicting new conflicts. War is no longer something that happens. War is something that generates revenue, a continuous loop, a global industry worth trillions. The modern world is shaped not just by the wars we see, but by the industries behind them. And those industries are more powerful today than at any time in history. Tension building: why the conflict economy is more dangerous today than ever before. Asterisk. The conflict economy has always been powerful. But today, something has changed. The system is bigger, more complex, more profitable, and more deeply connected to global politics than at any time in history. And for the first time, the danger is not just war itself. It's the unstoppable machine behind it. Let's explore why this system is now reaching a critical pressure point. War has become too profitable. When something becomes profitable, businesses want more of it. War is no different. Today, a single missile can cost millions. A fighter jet can cost hundreds of millions. A major contract can be worth billions. That means companies want bigger budgets. Budgets want bigger threats. Threats need bigger responses. This creates a feedback loop. Profit, influence. More profit, more conflict. And once a system starts earning billions, it becomes very hard to stop. This is where everything starts to fall apart. Technology is creating new kinds of warfare. In the past, war required armies, ships, planes, tanks. Today, conflict can start with a drone strike, a cyber attack, A satellite hack. AI-generated intelligence. Misinformation campaigns. New technology lowers the cost of starting conflict and increases the profit from fighting it. A digital war can begin in seconds. A drone war can be launched remotely. A cyber war can attack a nation silently. This makes conflict more unpredictable and more frequent. The world is returning to great power rivalries after the Cold War. Many believe the world would be peaceful, but today, US versus China tensions are rising. Russia is challenging global stability. The Middle East is unstable. Europe is real. Asia is entering an arms race. Every region is preparing for conflict. This means one thing. The demand for weapons and military technology is exploding. And when demand explodes, profit explodes with it. Defense stocks rise when the world falls. Here is one of the most unsettling signals. Whenever global tensions increase, the stock prices of defense companies go up. War becomes a market opportunity. Investors know this. Companies know this. Governments know this. It creates a disturbing truth. Some industries become more valuable when the world becomes more dangerous. That is the core of the conflict economy. Private companies now control critical systems. In the past, governments controlled war. Today, private companies control satellites, missile systems, military AI, drone fleets, cybersecurity, cloud infrastructure, surveillance tools. This means governments depend on corporations, corporations depend on war budgets, and dependency creates another dangerous loop. The line between national defense and corporate profit is becoming thinner every year. Modern conflict never ends. World War II ended in 1945. But the modern conflict economy does not end. Cyber attacks happen every day. Drone strikes happen every week. Proxy wars happen every year. Defense budgets rise every decade. War has become permanent. Not because the world wants war, but because a system now exists that needs war to survive. This is the most dangerous truth of the conflict economy. One spark could trigger something much bigger when the world is this tense, and the conflict economy is this powerful. A small event, a drone attack, a border clash, a cyber hack can ignite something far greater because the system is already primed. Budgets ready, companies ready, technology ready, alliances ready, narratives ready. The pressure is building, and the deeper the conflict economy grows, the harder it becomes to prevent the next major war. Future scenarios: how the conflict economy could reshape the next decade. If the conflict economy continues to grow, the next decade may not look like the past. The patterns are clear. The budgets are rising. The tensions are spreading. And the world could move toward several possible futures. Let's explore the three most realistic scenarios. The era of endless small wars, most likely in this future. Large world wars do not happen. But small conflicts never stop. Nations fight through. Drone cyber attacks, proxy malicious border skirmishes, sanctions in trade conflicts, misinformation operations. This scenario benefits the conflict economy the most. Why? Because small wars are cheaper. They happen more often. They require constant technology. They justify ongoing military spending. They create continuous profit. This future becomes a world where conflict is always happening somewhere, and business quietly continues. The great power clash, high risk. This is the most dangerous outcome. A major conflict erupts between the US and China, or NATO and Russia, or a major Middle Eastern alliance. This would trigger global financial collapse, energy crisis, cyber shutdowns, massive militarization, huge defense spending, rapid technological arms races. The conflict economy would explode in size, but the human cost would be enormous. History shows that economic tensions and rising superpower rivalry often lead to major conflict. This scenario would reshape global power the way World War II did.